Okay, so here's an update on the mead. We've been letting it age for 5 months. This is a 3-gallon part of it. This is a 1 gallon and a 1 gallon. This 3-gallon part we aged with American Oak Medium Plus. And we wanted to see the difference in the different types of oak spirals. In this one, we have American Oak Heavy, and you can see the spiral right there. Of course, we've already removed the spiral from this one. And then finally, this is French Heavy Oak Spiral. And so we're really excited to taste test and to see what the different oak spirals, how they affect the mead and how they change the taste of the mead. And so we're really excited about this. And we haven't, of course, let the oak spirals age for the whole 5 months that we've been aging the mead. It was just the last 6 weeks. So you're only supposed to put the oak spirals in for 6 weeks, and we have let them, all of them, age for 6 weeks with the oak spirals. So we're going to try the mead with the different oak spirals and to see which one we like and how it actually changes the mead. This mead over here is the Sizer mead. This is our second Sizer mead. It's the 5-gallon batch. We made this with Jonah Gold apples around November. It was right before Thanksgiving. And this was the amount that was left over after we racked over. There was a lot of, this was really cloudy. There was a lot of sediment. So we let it sit for a month and a half. And as you can see, all the sediment is on bottom. So by saving that back in the 1-gallon carboy, we're able to save about a 750 milliliter bottle. And that's going to make us really, really happy because my wife and I really like the Sizer mead. Okay, so next we will have the taste test of just the straight mead with the oak spirals. Okay, so we're about to have the taste test. The first one, and you can see the color is a little different in the French Heavy as opposed to the American Heavy. There is a little difference there. There's not a lot of difference between the Medium Plus American and the Heavy American. Alright, so I'm going to taste test the American Plus first. Wow, it's really good. You want to try it?
Wow.
It's pretty smooth, right?
It's really smooth.
Yeah, the oak made it way better.
Got it?
Yeah. So now, this is our first time trying the Heavy. And this is American Heavy. Oh wow, that's really oaky.
That is really oaky.
It has almost a bourbon flavor.
Yeah, it does. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it tastes almost like Jim Beam. It's pretty close to that, right?
Yeah.
And this is the French Heavy. Wow. Same thing.
Yeah. That one tastes even
It's a little smoother, the French is, right?
Yeah.
So what did you think?
I think I like the first and the last one the best.
So you like the American Plus and the French Heavy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so these are really good. Shockingly, though, I've never had a mead that had almost a whiskey flavor to it. And of course, they barrel age the whiskey in the charred barrel, the bourbons at least, in the charred barrels. And so, yeah, both of the heavies, the American and the French, had that sort of bourbon flavor. It's really good. I didn't expect that. The French, or excuse me, the American Plus didn't have that at all. It just had sort of an oak flavor. So if you like more of a bourbon flavor, the charred, well, what's heavy, it's not actually charred, but the heavy, both French and American, were really good. This one had sort of a, I don't know, it's kind of a leathery sort of smell to it. It's kind of like if you walk into a shop that sells leather. It had a little bit of that in the aroma, whereas the American didn't have a lot of that. Do you agree with that? Yeah. So they're all three good, definitely different. Really happy with all of them though. I think that if I was going to do a 5-gallon batch and I only was going to choose one, I think I'd go with the American Plus.
Yeah.
Just because it keeps the true mead flavor. You get a lot of the honey flavor, the mead flavor coming through. But if I ever wanted to drink a mead that was really close to a bourbon, both the American and the French are good. I would say the French is a little better. But the spirals for the French are twice as much for the American. I don't think they're that much better.
Yeah.
Do you agree with all that?
I agree with all that.
Yeah. So that is it for our mead. We are going to rack all of these over one more time before we bottle. Or actually, we don't have to, right? We've racked these. So we'll go straight from these carboys to the bottles. And of course, there'll be 3 different ones. And so we are going to label, each one differently to remind ourselves which one is American Heavy, French Heavy, and then the American Medium Plus. So we will show you the bottling next. Okay, so we're about to bottle, and we're going to use 3 different colored bottles. We're going to use green for the 3-gallon Medium Plus. We're going to use red, which here are our red bottles right there, for our American Heavy. And then for the French Heavy, we are going to use our yellow bottles. So that way we do not get them mixed up. Yeah, and when we label them, of course, we will label them differently. I already have the one pump from the racking cane. And there is the bottling cane, and so I just have to press on the bottom. There's a spring down there, and it will automatically fill the bottle up. And we're going to come all the way to the top, and whenever I get to the top, I will transfer the cane over here. We washed these bottles with 1-step cleaner and potassium metabisulfite to make sure they were absolutely sterilized, and then we let them dry. So I'm going to show you how high we are going to come up, and it's right about there. It's right to the top. You've got to be quick about it. And then I try not to drip, and then I go right into this bottle. My wife is about to grab the bottle that finished, and we have the corker right here, and she's going to use synthetic corks, which are right over there, and she will cork the bottles. And we'll show you how many bottles we get next. Okay, so we were able to get 13 bottles. Right, isn't it 13? Yeah, it's 13 bottles, lucky 13, out of the Medium Plus American Oak Spiral. And 1 glass. So it was 13 bottles exactly, and 1 glass. I wasn't going to drink any mead tonight. Was going to just stick to tea and water, but now I'm going to be drinking that glass. Maybe sharing some with my wife. She's not feeling too great tonight, so I'm not sure if she's going to drink any. But we're really happy with that. Next, we are going to bottle the American Heavy. So now we're about to bottle the American Heavy Toast Oaked Mead. And we are going to bottle those in red bottles. And we'll show you how many we get out of this batch next. So we ended up getting 3.5 of the mead that was oaked with the American Heavy. We'll put the half a bottle in the fridge. There's no way I'm drinking half a bottle tonight. So with the 13 and the full 3, we're now up to 16 and a half. We're about to bottle the French Heavy Oaked Mead, and we're going to put it in yellow bottles. So that way we don't mix them up. And of course, when we label them, we'll label them differently. And we'll show you how many we get next. Okay, so here are all the bottles. We ended up with 3.5. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little over half. But 3.5 of the French Heavy Oak Spiral Mead. And so we had 3.5 of the American Heavy, 3.5 of the French Heavy. The 2 halves will go in the fridge. The others will go into our wine cellar. Of course, we're going to label these. We have to let them sit upright like this for 3 days so that the pressure evens out in the bottle. And then we can label them and cap them. And of course, 13 bottles of the American Medium Plus. So overall, we ended up with 19 bottles. If you count the 2 half bottles, of course, that's 20. And we're pretty happy. I mean, this is a really, really good mead. All 3 oaks really worked well. Again, if you like a bourbon flavor, the heavy oak spirals are amazing. But if you want something that just has an oak flavor to it, but doesn't dramatically change the character of the mead, then the Medium Plus is better for that. Because the Medium Plus has the mead flavor, the honey taste to it, but at the same time you can get that hint of oak in it, which it's more of a blend. But this one, honestly, it tastes just like bourbon, and it smells like bourbon. Like whenever we were racking it over and I took the lid off of the French heavy, it hit me all at once and it smelled just like bourbon. So if you really like bourbon and you would like to drink one that's more around 18 proof instead of 80, that would be an awesome mead for you. But if you want a mead that just has the hint of oak and really tastes more like the mead, then the Medium Plus or even the Medium Light is going to be better. But we are happy that we ran this experiment just to find out which oaks that we really like and how they change the mead or add to the mead. And it was great. But all of these are really good. So, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. We like the ones that have the bourbon flavor. It's just, it's not what we expected, but it's awesome. And so we like all 3 of these. Okay, so that is it for the mead. We're going to let these age a little bit in the wine rack. Of course, we're going to let them set upright for 3 days to let the pressure equalize. Then we're going to label them and cap them and then put them in our wine cellar. And that is it.